Hey guys, so today we are going to be reviewing Graveyard Shift by Motionless and White. For all you guys who don't know, Graveyard Shift is Motionless and White's fourth album, and a bit of the history of Motionless and White. So their first two albums were actually metalcore albums, and they were very bad albums at that. I have not listened to their albums, those albums in their entirety. However, if I did, I'd probably honestly give them like a 3 or a 2 out of 10. They were really bad. And some of them, like some memes in our friend groups have popped up, like the song Abigail. As if anybody plays that song, like we just know we're just joking around because it's so bad, ridiculously bad. And then also the song Immaculate Misconception, which I believe is off their first record, is so bad it's unbelievable. It's one of the worst songs I've ever heard. No redeeming qualities in that song whatsoever. It's just straight dumpster fire. Then their third album came around, and I was very pleasantly surprised actually. It's a decent record. I give it like a 7 out of 10. I think they dropped a lot of their metalcore influences and went for more of an industrial sound. They're still a metalcore band, I think, but not nearly as bad as they were before. Some standouts from that album, I think, are like Break the Cycle, and my personal favorite, which is an industrial metal track. Like, it's definitely industrial metal, like not like the rest of the album, is Final Dictum. Overall, I thought that album was a pretty good album. I had really high hopes for this album, and I thought maybe if they ditch a little bit more with their metalcore sound, clean up a bit of the choruses. That's what I had an issue with on the last album, was that the choruses were often cheesy and out of place. But if they could just do that and add a bit more industrial influence, maybe become a full-on industrial metal act, I feel like it would be able to really, really like this band. So, did that happen on this album? No, it did not. This album is a huge regression in terms of musical development for Motionless and White. They get back a lot of their metalcore influences, with breakdowns being on several songs on the album. Bad breakdowns, mind you, also. Like, there are some breakdowns I can stand. They're just very bad breakdowns on this album on several different songs. One of them that comes to mind is 570. It's very, very bad on that song. However, that's not what ruins the album for me. There's one single thing on this album that drops it by, I honestly think, like 2 or 3 points. And that's the choruses. Almost every single track on this album is ruined by its obnoxious and out-of-place chorus. A few of the songs that aren't, though, are Hourglass, Dead as Fuck 2, and The Ladder. The Ladder is not a good song, by the way. It's just that the chorus doesn't ruin it, in my opinion. It's just a bad song without the chorus. Every other track on this album, however, that's not an exaggeration. Every other one, the chorus is god-awful, and if they would have taken the chorus out and they just played the verses, the song would have been much, much better. And it's so bad, I think, a lot of these choruses are so bad, because you're getting this really, really heavy riffage, and then out of nowhere, there isn't even like there's like a transition period. Just out of nowhere, you're playing melodic style guitar. Right? You're playing super melodic lines on the guitar. The synth is even sometimes coming in and playing melodic lines, and the dude just having his like great singing moments, and that works. Like on the track Hourglass, which I said one of the tracks that the chorus doesn't ruin. The chorus doesn't ruin, I should say. On that track, there's a chorus just like that, but it fits with the rest of the theme of the music, and it doesn't break up any section of the song, and the song works because of that, and I think it's a fine song. It's not a great song, but it's listenable for sure. It's not nearly as bad as the rest of this album. But yeah, just there are so many tracks, like especially the track Necessary Evil. Whenever that track started playing, I was honestly blown away. It's probably the best Motionless and White riff, except for maybe Break the Cycle, I think. They're opening up, it's this really heavy chugging riff on the low drop A guitars, and then, of course, the chorus comes in and ruins everything. It's really bad. It's honestly, I think that single-handedly ruins the album for me, and I can't listen to it, and I'm never going to listen to it again because of that. However, the album's not all horrible. There are a lot of really good riffs. Like I said, Necessary Evil, it's an amazing riff at the beginning. Dead as Fuck 2, which is my personal favorite song on the album. Although I don't know why Motionless and White has like such an obsession with making sequels to their songs. If you guys don't know, on their 3 albums, they had like Puppets, Puppets 2, and Puppets 3. Which was all about, I think, like one of the lead singer's ex-girlfriend or something like that, which is really fucking cringy. But yeah, no, Dead as Fuck 2 is a really, really good riff in it. Many good riffs, in all honesty. I think it's the best track on the album. If the entire album was Dead as Fuck 2, which is kind of like it's not nearly as bad as a Rob Zombie knockoff as the first Dead as Fuck, but it still kind of has the same sound as Rob Zombie. If the entire album was like that, it would even get a better score, and I would still criticize it for being Rob Zombie knockoff, but it would get a better score than this one's gonna get. and especially the song Soft as well, has some very, very heavy riffage at the beginning of it. It honestly kind of sounds like a Slipknot song during the verses. A very good Slipknot song at that. And then, of course, the chorus comes in and ruins it, so it doesn't really matter that much. But overall, like, those songs are, you know, some of the better tracks on the album, if it just wasn't for the chorus. Except for Dead as Fuck 2, that song is very good, actually. However, there are some tracks on this album which have no redeeming qualities to them whatsoever. I was appalled the first time I listened to these tracks because of just how horrible they are. And those are the songs Voices and Loud Fuck It. What can I say? Voices is one of the worst songs I think I've ever heard in my whole life. And it's definitely one of the worst Motionless in White songs. Is it worse than Abigail? Yeah, it actually is worse than Abigail. It's not worse than Immaculate Misconception, though, because that's like a solid 1 out of 10 song. I laugh at it every single time I hear it. There are some, like, Bullet for My Valentine songs, or, like, you know, some other crappy emo band like that I get more enjoyment out than listening to that song. But it's so bad. There's no redeeming qualities. The song sounds so generic, and it's not heavy. It has none of the appeal that a Motionless in White would have in the song. There's no good guitar riffs. The synth doesn't do anything interesting throughout the whole song. The vocal performance is mediocre. There's nothing interesting going on in the song. And along with that, it's just so boring. Whenever I heard it come up in the album, I had to make sure it wasn't from a different band, you know, because I was just listening to a playlist on YouTube. I had to make sure I had to, like, check my, you know, I had to, like, go to my computer and, like, pull it up again, because I was just listening to it, you know, like, while I was cleaning my room, right? Go, like, pull it up, like, wait, is this Motionless in White? Oh, that's Motionless in White. Such a bad song. I think, honestly, if that song was omitted from the album would be a lot better. Along with the song Loud Fuck It, like I said, that song is just, like, really odd sounding. And I'm all for experimentation, especially with Motionless in White. I feel like if they experimented more, their music would be better. Like with the song Final Dictum on their last album, my favorite Motionless in White song, sounds nothing like the rest of their body of work. It's a very, very good song. However, this is the wrong kind of experimentation. The main guitar riff is so grating, I can't listen to the song. The main guitar riff at the beginning, and the chorus again is awful, you know. But the main guitar riff, it's just so bad. Like, again, like I said with Voices, it has nothing. They don't play to their strengths on the track. That's what I guess what I should say for these two tracks. They don't play to their strengths on it. They do what they're not very good at. Motionless in White aren't a very good riff writing band. Like, their riffs are good and they're heavy, but they're not the main stage of the song. They're synths and vocals that make up the main part of the song, and the riffage and the guitars in the music almost always make up the background, at least in their better music. And when their music's at their worst, whenever their guitar is front stage, in my opinion. But that riff on Loud Fuck It is just so unbelievably awful that the song is not worth listening to. Let's just get to the rest of the band. The drums were fine. Vocals were fine, you know, exactly what you'd expect from Chris Motionless. The bass isn't audible. That's what I expected to happen. You can't really hear the bass that much. The production overall was fine on the album, I think. Nothing sounded out of place. Everything sounded heavy like it needed to on the tracks where things were heavy. The synths didn't take up too much room in the mix, you know. They never drowned out the guitars. Everything was fine on the album, I thought. Yeah, just overall, my overall opinion on the album is there are good riffs on some of the songs. The chorus has ruined the whole thing, though. And besides from that, there's nothing that's outstanding on this album except for the riffs that are in some of the songs. The songwriting is very lazy. They use the same motifs over and over again. And they're not very experimental on this album, but when they do experiment, it's for the worst. Overall, I'd have to give this album a 4 out of 10. What did you guys think about it? Make sure to put that in the comment section. Argue with me all you want. If you're a Motionless in White fan, you thought this was a great album, which I have heard some people say. Tell me why it's a great album. I just want to hear. You know, I want to enjoy this album. I think Motionless in White has a lot of potential as an industrial metal act. Even if they're like an industrial metalcore act, I still think they have more potential than what they had on this album, which is essentially a metalcore album with light industrial influence here and there. Anyways, guys, have a good one, and goodbye.